Hey everyone, Charlene here. Today we're going to be making a card with some of the new release from Honeybee Stamps. It is their holiday release and I am so excited because they have brought out a vintage snowman, which is incredibly cute. Now, if you remember last year, there was a vintage reindeer and I absolutely love that reindeer. So the fact that they came out with this cute vintage snowman just makes my Christmas heart happy. So we're going to start out by picking a couple of different colors of cardstock. You can see here there are two different styles of snowman that you can create. You can create this cute one up here with a Santa hat and holding these lights. Then this one down here is more of a traditional snowman with a top hat. There are multiple styles of nose and just a lot of fun different ways you can accessorize the snowman. So I'm going to cut the main body of the snowman from some white cardstock. I will cut his coal buttons from black cardstock, and then for his scarf I have two different colors of red here. For the frontmost piece I'm using a lighter shade of red, and then for the back piece as well as the part that hangs down I'm using the darker red. For his arms and gloves I'm going to cut this die that does the base and also the arms that are sticks from some brown cardstock, and then I'm going to cut this layer that does the top part of the gloves from two different colors of red, and that'll make more sense later, but I'm using the same dark red and then also the light red to cut this out. For his hat, I'm going to do the base layer in black and then the top layer in charcoal. Then there is this piece of holly that goes on top of the hat. So I have green for the leaves and then the darker red for the berries. For the face as well as the eyes, I have some black cardstock. And then for the cheeks, I'm going to use a coral cardstock. You could also use a light pink, but I'm going to go with coral. Then as far as options go, you could do a carrot, but then there's also this fun rounded nose that I am going to cut from that same dark red. I have some ivory here for the mitten cuffs, which are going to look so cute. And then I have some white cardstock here that I'm going to use for the candy cane. Last but not least, I have this swoopy looking piece here, and this is going to create the ribbon on the top hat. I always try to group things together as I'm die cutting. So in my tray here, I have all of the face pieces. This is the candy cane, all the hat pieces, the coal buttons, all the scarf pieces, and then all of the mitten pieces. I also usually like to start from small to large when I'm putting things together. Helps keep me from losing all the tiny pieces. So I'm going to start by putting our face on the snowman. It's probably a little hard to see on camera, but there are embossed details on the snowman base, which makes it really easy to see where those small pieces are supposed to go. So I'll start by adding a little dot of glue where the snowman's eyes go, and then I can use my wax pickup tool to easily pick them up and then pop them down in place where they go. So there's one eye, and here's two eyes. Holding the mouth with some reverse tweezers, I'll dab a tiny little bit of glue. You don't need very much at all to hold the mouth in place. Then I can place the mouth over with my tweezers, just nestling it into that embossed detail. I'll move on to his eyebrows, dotting a tiny bit of glue on those embossed details again. Then using my wax pickup tool to grab the eyebrows and pop them down in place. I'll add a dab of glue here where the cheeks are going to go, one on the right and one on the left. I'm going to grab the smaller of the two cheeks and I'm going to place this one here on the right hand side, leaving a small little white gap between the mouth and the eye, and then I'll take the larger one and place it on the left side. The nose is going to go right above his mouth in between those cheeks there, so I'll dab a small amount of glue, grab our red nose, and then I will just place this down right in between. I'm going to move this up just slightly because I want it to be level kind of with the tops of the cheeks. And there is that cute little face. I'm going to add some glue here on the embossed button details. And we've got 1, 2, and 3 coal buttons. I'll set the main body piece aside and move on to putting our hat together. For the holly piece, there is an open area here in the center. I'm going to dab a little bit of glue right through the center area, and then I can place the berries right over the top. The berries are going to line up with the edges. So if you look here, there is kind of a large berry on the left and it fits on each side of those leaves. And then on the right, there's a little cluster of berries that fits right on the edge of the leaf as well. Next, I'll grab the top layer of the hat, which I have done in the lighter charcoal, and add some glue to the back. This is going to layer over the black base that we created and line up right along the edges. The ribbon detail here is going to go along the hat. It's going to fit right along the base of the top layer. It nestles right in here, and you can see it goes over towards the right hand side of the charcoal piece. I want my holly to pop off my hat, so I'm going to add some small foam squares to the back, and I'll line this up so that the curve of the berries essentially matches the curve of the hat along the brim. Now I can add some glue on our snowman. I'm just going to put it right along that top left hand edge, so that way I can layer the hat so that it looks like it's sitting naturally on his head. Next, I'll put his scarf together. I'm going to start with the lighter red layer. I'll add some glue here to the back, and this is going to layer right over the top of the base dark red layer. I'll add 2 lines of glue going along the snowman's neck, and then I'll layer the scarf right over the top. I want to make sure the 2 edges come up and meet the sides of his face. For the top layer of his scarf, I'm going to flip it over and add some foam squares at the very top. I'm going to pop this so that it goes just over the top of the scarf layer going around his neck. Now remember, I cut out the red mittens in 2 different colors. I've got my 2 arm pieces here. This is the left arm, this is the right arm. I'm using the lighter red for the left arm, and then I'm using both the darker red with this kind of cut off piece and the lighter red with the top piece of the glove. This will make more sense as we layer it. So I've added some glue here to this base portion of the arm, and then I'll just layer the cut off looking glove right over the top. Next, I will add some glue all along this base curve and pick up this cuff piece and layer it over that. Now we have this smaller top piece, and this is going to layer over the glove. That way it looks like the glove is clasping onto something. We're going to put our candy cane in there, but I'm not going to do that quite yet because I want to add some details to the candy cane. So I'll go ahead and put together the left arm. I'll start by adding glue here on the glove portion of the base layer, then layer the glove on top, then add glue along the cuff detail and layer our ivory cuff right along that edge. So now we have our arms all ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some alcohol markers to color my candy cane. I have some R1.5 and I'm going to color in between the emboss lines to create stripes. If you don't want to use alcohol ink markers to do this, you also could die cut the candy cane out a second time in red and cut little strips and glue them on. You also could use colored pencils or whatever your preferred coloring medium is. Now we can add our arms on. I'm going to add glue in 2 different spots on this arm. I'll add some glue here at the top of the mitten, and then I'll add a tiny bit of glue along the end of the stick arm. This will make sense in a moment. So I'm going to layer this so that it glues onto the scarf and so that it also glues onto the body of the snowman. I'm going to tap on it here on the scarf and kind of hold it in place up towards the top. This is naturally going to lift up the arm a little bit down here because we don't have any glue on the bottom portion of that scarf. Now, if you want to make sure that stays popped up like I do, I'm going to go ahead and grab a foam square. I like to use my die pick when I'm doing precision placement like this. I hold my foam square on the end of the pick, and then I can lift up the cardstock and pop the foam square underneath wherever it needs to be. For the right hand arm, I'm adding a little glue to the end of the stick, picking up my snowman, and I will glue it to the back where I want to place it. Now we can add the candy cane, so I'll add a line of glue along the edge of the right hand mitten, then pick up my candy cane and pop it over the top. Then I'll take the kind of oblong looking lighter red piece here. I'm going to add a foam square to the back, and then I will carefully place it along the edge of the mitten. So now it looks like our snowman is hanging on to our fun candy cane. For our background, I'm going to use a piece of paper from the Merry Moments paper pack. There are lots of different beautiful patterns in this paper pack. Very vintage, very traditional Christmas, just gorgeous. I love all the reds and greens. In particular, I love that plaid as well as the ornaments. But I thought that the snow piece of patterned paper that's in here would work really well for a background for our snowman. So I cut down an A2 sized piece of the pattern paper. Now I'm going to stamp out a couple of sentiments. I have here the Warm Holiday Wishes sentiments. I'll stamp a few of these out here in intense black ink. So I'll ink up my stamps, go ahead and flip and press and lift. I'm going to stamp these a second time to build up the black. Go ahead and flip and press and lift. And those look nice and solid black now. I'll cut these out with the coordinating dies to increase the depth of our snowman without making him too thick on the front of the card. I've cut out 2 additional pieces of the main snowman. I'm just adding glue to the back of each of them, lining them up and then layering them, and this is going to help the snowman pop off the card, but not really increase the overall depth of the card by much. Next, I'll add some glue to the back of our pattern paper, and then I can adhere this to the front of an A2 sized card base. Now I'll take our snowman and add some glue all along the back of him, and I'm going to adhere him towards the left hand side of the card, trying to keep an equal distance from the top and the bottom. I'm just going to check my placement with my sentiment before I actually press down, so that way I can make sure everything is in the right spot. I added some foam squares to the back side of the sentiment, so I'll remove the release tape, and I'll pop this here on the bottom right hand side so that it just slightly overlaps onto our snowman. I have some Stickles glitter glue here that I'm going to use to add some glittery snowy accents. So I will run this glitter glue all the way along the bottom snowbank area, following the emboss detail. Then I can go in and fill in all the rest. So I've added the glitter glue all the way along the base of the snowman. Now I'll come in and add a few lines of the glitter glue going along the candy cane. To give the holly berries some shine, I've got some glossy accents here that I'm going to cover them completely with. And I'm also going to cover the nose completely. Last but not least, I have some white gel pen, and I'm going to use that to add a couple of tiny little accents here to the tops of his eyes, as well as to the tops of the coal buttons. So here is our finished vintage snowman card, and once those glossy accents dry, they're going to look really very pretty and nice and shiny. I also wanted to let you know before we go that there is a vintage Santa in this release. So 2 fun vintage layering sets with this release. I hope that you guys picked up some tips and tricks today. Please be sure to like and subscribe, as well as hit that notification bell so that you'll know about future videos here on the Honeybee Stamps YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.